lines from the bottom. Ikita Amre. Omar Rab Acha Brid Rab Avia. Rab Ashi Mimai the high kafisin orche. Meaning, how do we know that the kafisin is half of a brick? And that the extra tefach is the high tefach niseir lebeni orve. And that the tefach, extra tefach, which brings it up to 4. So really, it's half a brick, which is 1.5 tefachim. So each side is bringing 1.5 tefachim. That's 3, and then there's an extra tefach in the middle, where it brings it up to 4. When we know that a kafisin is like that, is the half a brick with the 1 tefach on both sides and 1 tefach of cement in the middle. Mahai tefach yiser lebeni urve. Dilma my kafisin. Maybe the pshat is, what is kafisin? Is avne delom shvayim. Maybe it's avnim that they weren't hewn into nice blocks, and that the extra tefach is the roughness of the rock that sticks out. Bahai tefach yiseira lemursa de karnosa, and it's just the extra pieces that are coming out, sticking out. Kedarmin and Gavil, as we learned with Gavil, and as we just learning exactly the opposite. Avnei, as we learned with Gavil, is that avnei delom shvayim, that they are rocks that weren't cut into clean blocks. Gazis avnei dim shvayim, and the gazis was avnei dim shvayim, where they're cut into clean straight blocks. The high tefach and the tefach yisera with the gavil was the parts that were protruding. The high tefach yisera, the mursa de karnosa, was the parts sticking out. Omar le l'taimech, according to you, gavil avnei delom shvayim. We could just say, he says it the same exact way, except in the opposite. According to you, you're asking that the kafisin should be same as the gavil. So he's asking back, where do you know your din that gavil is uncut rocks? So you know it all because it's Messiah given down. So Halchanami, and then we'll say that's why that we're learning kafisin is the half of the brick and with the cement in the middle. It's also Messiah. Halchanami Gemara Gemiri law. That's going to be Messiah. Omar Abaye Shmamina. That we see from here that every time that there's a piece, there's a gap in the middle, which is filled up with cement. So it's going to be a tefach. That's what we're learning over here. Shmamina called Beni Urve. Tefach is a tefach. Every time that there will be a open space in the middle filled with cement, that's a tefach. Hanimili. When is that? Bettina Abai says that this open tefach is going to be when it's filled with cement. About birichsa, but if it's filled with cement mixed with small rocks, chatzatz, then it's going to be boit fei. Then it has to be a bigger gap between the two sides. Yikad some learn hanimili. When is this birichsa? This is with that this tefach is the cement with the small rocks about bettina. But if it's just plain cement, lo boy kuliha, we don't even need a whole tefach. So we learned in the Mishnah, not in our Mishnah, but in I think it's in Daf Hey. And they learn that whenever there is for a gozis, which has a width of 5 tefachim, that it has to when it was being rebuilt, they had to rebuild it up to 4 amos. We had that before when the wall that fell down. That was being rebuilt. That was gozis that fell down. It was rebuilt up to four amos. Right, it's in Daf Hey. We said kosher chotzer shenofal mechayivin oiso libnois adal and amos. So then. And I guess they were talking about a gozis over there, which had a width of five tefachim. So they learned from that. Lememra did the gozis, the whole daled amos, every daled amos goiva. He heavy pusia chamisha. If it has a width of 5, kai it'll stand. Low kai, but if it doesn't have a width of 5 tefachim, it won't stand if it has a height of 4 amos. But how can we see it's not true? Amatraxin. The the tracks in the wall in the base of Mikdash in the Bayis Shel Shlomo had a thickness of 6 tefachim, which was 1 amma thick, and it went up 30 amos high. So see that even though it went beyond 4 amos, didn't have. You might think that for every 4 amos you have to add another 5 tefachim in thickness. So that's for a wall 8 amos high should be 10 tefachim thick. But we see here with the Beis Mikdash of Shlomo Melech that it was 30 amos high, and it only had a thickness of an amma, which was 6 tefachim. So high amma traxin. The heavy gavoa tolsin amos was high 30 amos high. V'lo habi pusia and didn't have a thickness. Ela shis foishche. It only had a thickness of 6 tefachim. The comment it stood. So not like we were implying from the Mishnah Daf Hey, and for the Gemara, Kevin the Ika Tefach Yiser. What happens is that once it has one more tefach beyond 5 tefachim, it can hold a lot more. It can allow a lot more height. Kai. For the Gemara, Mikdash Sheni. My time were low Avi Amma tracks, and why didn't in Mikdash Sheni? Why didn't they go up 30 amos with a thickness of 6 tefachim? Because we know that in the Bayis Sheni it was before Hurdas rebuilt it was 40 amos high, and after he rebuilt it was 100 amos high. Why didn't he? More answers. When will it stand? Because I guess the walls were thicker there. When will it stand at 30 amos at 6 tefachim thickness? With a thickness of 6 tefachim, when will it stand 30 amos? Kikai betolsin. Oh, that's why. Why didn't they use the amatraxin? Kikai betolsin. It only works with a height of 30 amos. But if you go beyond 30 amos, it doesn't work. And the Bayis Sheni had a height higher than 30 amos. Kai tefei lo kai. But if it's higher than 30 amos, it won't stand. When do we know that it was higher than 30 amos? You can see because it says that the second bias will be greater than the first one. So the question was greater in what way? Greater in years, more it would stand longer, or would it be a greater, taller building? Rav Shmuel. The Omer Lo Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi Lazar. Chad Omar B'Vinyan. One says that greater in size of the building, height of the building. B'Chad Omar B'Shonim, that greater it would stand for more years. The Isa Laha. Some learn like this, and some learn like that. V'Na'avdu Tolsin Amen. So why didn't they use the Amatraxin? Oh, we answered because it had too much height. But why didn't they make 30 amos high with a thickness of 6 tefachim, and then from that point on build on each corner beams that go up to the height that they wanted, and then put paraychas on the top part. Navdu Tolson Amen, make 30 amos high, the binyan. The idach Navud paraychas, and the rest, if they want to have more height, you should go up higher with paraychas, put the beams, supporting beams like they did in the Mishkan, and drape the paraychas on those, and have it go up higher, more past 30 amos high. The idach navdu paraychas. More answers. The reason they couldn't do that, kika talsin amosa nami agav tikra umaziva. Okay. That when we said that it can stand 30 amos, it's only if it has a roof on it, gives support. It's like a big slab of stone, and when the weight of the stone is has a flat bottom, very flat bottom, and it's being supported on the flat top of the wall. So then the weight of it doesn't allow it to shift sideways. But if there's no like root slab on the top of the walls, then it can't, just with a thickness of 6 fucking thick walls, doesn't hold up. It won't allow the height to reach 30 amos. Okay. Below tikra maziva lokai, without a slab on top, like a roof with the weight on top of the cement of the roof, it won't stand 30. It won't reach 30 amos high. In fact, more with la'aved mad efshar opinion ule'aved idach paraychas, to go as high as you can then and make the rest paraychas. Good. If you can't go 30 high because you don't have a tikra, so just go as high as you can with binyan, and then from that point on, go up higher with paraychas. Omar Abai, Gemiri, the reason why we can't do that is because it's Messiah Gemiri, I kuluhu binyan, I kuluhu paraychas. You have a Messiah that you can't have in the basic mikdash, the binyan and part paraychas. It has to be either all binyan or all paraychas. They learn it, I kuluhu binyan, the mikdash. The fact that we need it all to be binyan, we learn that from Bayis Rishon. I kuluhu paraychas, the mishkan. And that we needed all to be paraychas, we would learn from the Mishkan that it was all paraychas. Practic more iboya lahu hen v'sidan or dilma hen below sidan. The walls, the dimensions, the thickness of the walls that we mentioned in the Mishnah, the 6 of the gavil, or the 5 of the gazis, or the kfisin, the 4 of the kfisin, or the 3 of the levini. So is that with the outer cement put on the outside of them or without? So Omar Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak Mistavra hen v'sidan. Mistavra, that our Mishnah is talking about with the outer cement put on it. That seems to be the way the Gemara concludes. T'isa al-kadaitich hen below sidan. If you would think that we're just talking about thickness without the outer tint on it, l'snaya l'shi'urei, then they should have mentioned the true thickness with the outer cement. The Gemara says that's not a problem. We could still be talking about the outer cement and not have mentioned the thickness. Ilalav shmamina. So they want to conclude from there. Ilalav shmamina hen v'sidan. Visnaya l'shiurei. Zman that we're talking about already with the cement, because if it was talking without cement, it would have talked about them, the bare width, and then how much extra width there would have been for the cement to be put on the outside. They would have mentioned that separately. The love shmamina hen v'sidan. The fact that they didn't mention that must be talking about that the measurements were them with the side cement. One says lo, we can still be talking about without the side cement. Lo hand below sidan. We can be talking about them without the side cement. The kavim de low heavy tefach low tani. Since that it didn't reach the dimension of a tefach, didn't even mention it. Even on both sides of the wall, if you would add the width of this outer cement, the cement cover, the cement on the outer part of the wall, both sides of the wall, it wouldn't even reach a tefach. So they didn't even mention it, but it could be talking that it had it. And we were talking about the measurement with it. Happy tefach. Okay, lo happy tefach, lo tani. We learned case where we see that it was mentioning these measurements, and it was not referring to these outer cement, any outer cement. It said, Baktani Bilabainin. It says, Bigozis Zenoisen Tfachaim Umersa, Zenoisen Tfachaim Umersa. See, we do mention, he wants to say we do mention measurements that don't equal a whole tefach, because we mentioned by Gozis that each one had to put to pay for a tefachayim mechsa, 2.5 tefachayim. Thickness of the wall. The whole wall is 5 tefachim thick. Each one had to pay for half, so 2.5. So we do take into account measurements that are not equal to a tefach. That's what the Gemara says. Haktani big godis. And for the Gemara, lo, it's not a problem. Hasam chazi litzterufe. The fact that the 2.5 tefachim reach a tefach, that's why we mention it. But in the case of the cement on the outer part of the wall, they don't even both sides of the wall, they don't even equal a tefach, so they don't even mention it. So we're going further with proofs of how to be miyashiv, whether or not the measurements in the Mishnah we're talking about with the outer cement on the walls. Tashma hakayra she'amru rochva kedei lekabel oreach. That the kayra for a mavui, that they would make a mavui if there's off the Shus Rabim, there's like an inlet, and they want to be able to carry in the mavui from the chutzah to the mavui, has to have a kaira going across the opening of the mavui to the Shus Rabim. So that kaira has to have a thickness able to hold a half a brick. The roch for the width of it has to be kedei lekabel oreach. The hareach, how big is the oreach? Oreach is half of a brick. The hareach chetzi levena is half a levena. Shel gimel tefachim. It's half a levena of gimel tefachim. So there you see that it's being spoken about as that's the measurement of the levena gimel tefachim. That is the measurement. And we're not talking about with any cement over there. So some of the measurement of a levena that we were referring in our Mishnah was without the cement. One says no. Over there we could be talking about fat levanim that had a thickness of 3 tefachim, but in our Mishnah we could have been talking about small levanim that had a measurement of 3 tefachim, and had a measurement of less than 3 tefachim, and with the cement they equaled a measurement of 3 tefachim. Also, birav ravoso, there we could be referring to fat bricks that by themselves without cement equal 3 tefachim, but in our Mishnah talking about small bricks that only with the outer cement they equal 3 tefachim. So one says we can maybe diagnose that from that price over there. Dikanami, Dikatoni, Shel Shaloisha Tefachim says that has to be a half a brick of the bricks of 3 tefachim. Of those that are 3 tefachim, it's mashma. There's other types of bricks that are less than 3 tefachim. That there are bricks that are less. More seems to want to say that our Mishnah is talking about measurements with the outer cement on it. But to Omar Rav Chista, Lo listor inish bekinishta and debone bekinishta akrisi. Person, the Kehillah shouldn't destroy a base Knesset until, in order to rebuild it, until the new one is built, and then they can destroy the old one. So there's two mahalchim of why they shouldn't destroy the old one. One is because you never know if they'll ever end up building the new one. or the other one is because if they destroy the old one before they finish building the new one, they won't have a place to daven. So some learn that the reason for this mishum pishiyusa, because they might not build a new shul. The mishum tzluya, because they won't have a place to daven. What's the nafkamina between them? Ika v'nayu, the nafkamina would be the ika bekinishta achrisi. When they have another shul, they can daven in. So then there's no problem, according to the tzad of tzluye. There's no problem; they can still daven. But according to the tzad pishiyuso, it doesn't help us. They still might not end up building the new shul. Something might happen. Rema v'ma'azutra sosre v'bonu be'akaita v'sisuya. That they used to have in their time two bati kinesiot for every place, for every area. One was for the summer, one was for the winter. The summer, when it was very hot, they had to have a lot of windows and a high ceiling so that everyone could have ventilation. In the winter, where it's freezing, so they needed low roofs and not many windows so that they could keep the warmth in. So what they did was they needed a new Beit Knesset. So they destroyed the summer one in the winter and rebuilt the summer one in the winter. So that was when they had another Beit Knesset. The Sosra Banu Beit Sisua Bikaita, and then they did any repairs to the winter one in the summer if they had to destroy it and rebuild it. The winter on Beit Knesset, they would do that in the summer when they were using the summer Beit Knesset. Omarle, Ravina le Ravashi, Gabu Zuze, V'machte. What happens if the Gabbai had already received all the money for building the Beit Knesset and he's holding on to it? Maybe that's better. Maybe then they can destroy the Beit Knesset, the existing Beit Knesset, and there won't be any chashash of Pishi'u, so that they won't rebuild it new one because they have all the money already. That's the Shaila Mai. Can they then destroy the Beit Knesset in order to rebuild it, or is there a problem there also? So Omar Lay, no, you can't destroy it. Dilma, Misrame Luhu Pidyon Shvuyim. Maybe there'll be some tragic event and someone will be captive and they'll take that money and use it to be part of the Jew that was captive. And they'll give it to them. So then they ask, what if all the building materials are lined up, piled up, and ready to build? Can the old Beit Knesset be destroyed then? So they piled up the Levene, the Hodre, and then they Hudre, and also another piling up of other materials. The Machte Tishui, and then they pile up the roof, the parts for the roof. Can they then destroy it in a case like that? So Omalei, because they can assume that they will definitely build it because they have all the materials, they said no. Omalei Zimnin the Misrami Lahu Pidyon Shvuyim Mizbane B'Yayv Lahu. No, maybe there'll be this Pidyon Shvuyim and they'll sell the materials in order to be paid to the person. What it says, if we're worried about selling things in order to pay for a Pidyon Shvuyim, then even if a Beit Knesset is built already, we have to, maybe it'll be sold and for Pidyon Shvuyim. So Omarle, no. The Dir say the Inshe Lo Mizvane. People don't sell their houses. Shul is, I guess, is already like a house. Lo, right, in order to be paid the Shvuyim. They sell objects and they use money and selling objects. Below Amran, this that we said they can't destroy the Beit Knesset in order to rebuild it is only if they don't see any cracks in the structure that make it dangerous and that make us believe that it's going to fall down. But if we saw those, that it's structural damage and it might fall down, then you can take it down. Then they can destroy it and build it back, even if they don't have another Beit Knesset. Like the case of Rav Ashi, he saw that there was some structural damage, cracks in the structure. Bikinishta Demasamaxia, in this place of Maxamaxia, Sosre Ba'ile Lipuria. Awesome. So he destroyed it and he took his bed and put it in, not exactly in the Beit Knesset because that's awesome, but he put it in a place that's like next to it, that he would be exposed to all the leaks of the wet and all the uncomfort of being in this place. Below Afki, he didn't take his bed out from there until they fixed the dripping from the roof. Unless maybe like the shul had to be repaired and the community wasn't repairing it. And so maybe he put his bed there. Now the whole community was mitzvah, that the Rav was being mitzvah, and they were going to hurry up to fix it. With Baba Ben Buta, he did a similar thing by advising Hudas to destroy the Beis Hamikdash and rebuild it. How could he do such a thing? Beis Hamikdash is similar din to the Beit Knesset that you can't destroy in order to rebuild another one until we have. So Baba Ben Buta, Heiki Asvele Eitzel Hudas Lemistore the Beis Hamikdash. How could Bava Basra give the eight of the Hudas to destroy the Beis Hamikdash in order to rebuild it? Because we learned, like we just said, Rav Chisda, Rav Chisda, Lo Listor Inish Beiknishta Adib Bone Beiknishta Achrise. That person is not supposed to destroy Beis Hamikdash unless he has another one. So how could he tell Hudas to destroy the Beis Hamikdash to fix it? He could give two answers. He Ema Tiu Chaza Bay. He saw a crack in the structure, therefore it was muta. It looked like it was going to fall out. He Ema Malchusa Shani. Or we can say different, that Hudas being the king, so who was agreeing to do the rebuilding. So a king is different because a king, when he says he's going to do something, there's not many things that are going to stop it from being done. He can do it. He has all the abilities. Shani. Lo Hadrabe, that he won't go back on it if he said he's going to do it. The Omar Shmuel. How do we know a king won't go back? The Omar Shmuel. Omar Malchusa Akrona Ture. If a kingship said that we're going to uproot this mountain over here, Okra Ture Lo Hadrabe. He'll do it. He'll rip up the mountain. He won't go back on it. Hudas Abded the Beis HaChashmonoi Havi. He was an Eved from the Beis Chashmonoi. Nosan Einav Ba'oso Tinokes. He saw one of the girls from the Beis HaChashmonoi that he liked. Yom Echad, one day, Shoma Baskol, he heard a Baskol speaking to Omar, Kol Abda de Morid, Hashta Matzliach. Any Eved that will be Morid, rebel against his master now, will be Matzliach. Kom Katlinehu Lekulahu Morsai. He killed all of the masters of that. He went and he killed all of the masters, the Beis Chashmonoi. V'shayra lahi nukta, and he left that girl alone, alive. He causes the hahi yenukta, the call boy leminsava. When she saw that he wanted to live with her, slika leigra. She went up to the roof, the Rama Kola, and she yelled out to everybody, Omra, Kol man de osi v'omar mebeis chashmonoi. Asina, anyone who will tell you that he's from the house of Chashmonoi Abd, he's an Abd, he's a Pashut Abd. So lo ishtaira minayu elahi yanuktu. There's nobody's left from the Beis Chashmonoi except her, except this girl, which she was saying. Bahi yanuktu, and this girl is now dead. Nofla mi igra, fell from the igra la'ara, and died. So you should know that nobody else is from the house of Chashmonoi. And if anyone claims to be from the house of Chashmonoi, they are only an Eved. Timna Hudas embalmed her in honey for 7 years. Timna Shiva Shnin B'duvsha. Igida Amrei Boaleh. Some say that he was with her, he slept with her. Igida Amrei Lo Boaleh, that he didn't sleep with her. The Amrei Lo Boaleh, those that say that he was with her. How did Timna? Why did he embalm her then? In order to satisfy his tightness of his yetzer. The Omrei law that she should be there for him. The Omrei law, those that say that he didn't come to her. Lo Boaleya. Hi, the Timna. This that he embalmed her. He hated the Nimru Bas Melech Nosif, so that she should be there, and he can tell everybody that she was his wife, and he married he was married to the Bas Melech, that he's a rightful king. And so you see, one reason has to do with his titles, the other has to do with his cover. Omar Man Dorish. So he said, who's the one that darshes the following posik? that says in the pasuk, Shum tosim alecha melech. You should put a king on yourselves. Asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha, that Hashem will choose for you. Bo mikerav achecha, should come from amongst your people. Tosim alecha, that you should put on you. Melech, tosim alecha melech. Lo sucha lo says alecha, don't ish nachri, shouldn't. Asher lo achicha hu, you shouldn't take as a king a goy over you. So he asks, who darshans this pasuk to mean? Mikerav achecha tosim alecha melech, from amongst your people, to teach us that you shouldn't take anyone other than a yid to be a king. The Rabbanan, so someone told him it was the Rabbanan that darshan that. So Kom Katlinu, the Kulu who Rabbani killed all the Rabbanan because they would jeopardize his kingship. So Shavke Lebava Bambuta, he left Bava Bambuta Lemishkal Eitzamine, in order to take Eitzah from him. Then the whole story goes further. So he left Bava Bambuta as solely alone, the only Chacham that would give him Eitzahs, and we'll stop here.